What's going on, everyone? It's Colin here, and today will be the first episode of the Drift Truck Build playlist. Pretty much what we're working with is a 1996 S10. It came with no motor, no transmission, hardly any interior. And we also got a narrowed forward rear end that right now we are currently working on getting set up for the 3-link pieces that we're going to be building and installing. We got a lot of those brackets and stuff over here, so you can see. And we also are working on a dual caliber setup for an hydro e-brake, which we don't have just yet, but we also need to get a few of the trailing arm pieces, and we got other pieces around here, and we have some of the stock pieces, as you can see. The rear end right now is pretty much just down the frame. Literally most of the frame was in really good condition, so that was one of the things that really contributed to the buying factor of this truck. It looked really good. The interior is probably going to be done in the middle between setting up the brakes and doing the motor and everything, because we got to set up a hydro e-brake, which I'm sure it won't be too hard. But then as well, we got other things around here that we have to do. We're gonna build a sheet metal dash, and we're gonna get that set up for quick release and be able to still run like our turn signal and wipers, which all of that for the steering is still here. I mean, there's a few other parts, plastic parts and stuff that came off the dash that we haven't gotten rid of yet, but the carpet's gonna get pulled up and redone because we have a lot of stuff just lying around. Yeah, the carpet's gonna get redone. We're gonna do sheet metal on the door panels, get all that kind of covered up, but not make it too complicated. We're gonna leave this and those so that way they're still accessible and this is still usable for the windows. And then headliner's gonna come down and we're gonna redo that. I'd like to keep this light for interior lighting purposes, but if I can't, that's okay. I can find another way to light it. So we're gonna have to get a new windshield because I cracked it over there, as you can see. I don't know what I did exactly. I think I was just being an idiot and I didn't really pay attention and I cracked it. So that's going to be the plans for the interior, as well as getting the bottom mounted seat brackets and getting a roll cage in. And then we also are going to be rolling some roll bars out to the back. And then from that, we can move on as well to the brakes first. We're gonna do brakes first. We're gonna get the brakes set up, get the hydro set up, and then get the main caliper set up, and then put the motor in, get that mounted, and make sure everything's gonna fit and it's gonna be right. Then we also have to get the fuel tank set up in the rear. So we need to get this done, and then get the fuel tank done, and then make adjustments to the bed. And then as well, we need to make adjustments for the front suspension. We need to get some coilovers, and we're gonna have to make some adjustments, new parts, new control arms. And we're gonna have to play around with the steering, see if we can get a little bit more angle out. We're pretty sure we've come to the conclusion that we're gonna have to space these by a little bit just to keep these from being rubbed on. Because when we've done the little bit of steering test, just see what kind of angle we can get. It's pretty much gonna be right up against that. I'll show that here in just a second. And then pretty much we're just gonna run a bash bar. And then I decided that I would really like to change from the original headlights you can see over there to the 90s model grill and headlights that had the square lights and the grill. I just like the square version a lot better. I don't know why, but this side's still mostly put together. It still kind of looks like an S10. All of this has been removed. So that way we can see what we have to get, and then we left the other side together so we know what we have to work with. I probably should have pulled this fender off as well, because it just seems backwards to have everything off here and leave this fender on, then have that fender on, but everything's still there. Okay, whatever. Gonna have to get a new mirror. For whatever reason, this is zip tied. Not entirely sure what happened. I imagine it just kind of came off because it looks like there's some glue here. So we're gonna have to get some new mirrors. I wanted to run some fender mirrors, you know, make this thing as JDM as possible, but you know, I don't know yet. And then we did throw on this steering wheel here just for heck of it. We still have a little bit of wiring and stuff to take care of. So connect stuff like these, that light, and a few other things. But as I was talking about the steering wheel before that, the pedals, we're gonna keep these, of course, but I want to upgrade the pads, something a little bit bigger, a little bit more workable for me, because I have like big feet and small pedals just don't work. I don't know if we're gonna keep this. Haven't really thought about it yet, because we still have to make some adjustments here to set up the hydro, and then, you know, get this set up with the quick release, and as I said, you know, be able to still use the turn signal and the wipers, which we got to redo wipers as well. And we're also wanting to put in a defrost kit of some sort, because I do plan on tagging this as an antique when time becomes available, so that way I can drive it to events and stuff like that. But we're gonna run a sheet metal dash, hoping to have some sort of ducking for some defrost just to help out with that, just in case. And then as I was talking about the steering, we just threw this steering wheel on because I wanted to take the stock one off, because that's how I am. Hopefully the power steering pump isn't leaking right now, because it did do that before. It would just sit and leak, which it shouldn't be. Yeah, it looks good. But as you can see, it's gonna have to get spaced out, because there's not much, like my fingers barely has enough room to wiggle here. So definitely have to space these out, so that way we can get space between here and there without having to cut too much, and then work on getting some angle, which, you know, that's pretty decent angle on a stock rack. So we thought that was actually really good, and we're hoping that we can make something more out of it, like a little bit more, but we should be all right with this, at least for testing purposes. And then we can either upgrade it before we get a chance to test it, or we will just leave it as is and then go from there. But everything else looked really, really well. The steering rack the steering pole was really good. All that's in good shape. Power steering pump, which is good shape. We have 350 mounts for the small block, and then pretty much we just got to patch this, patch those. Literally the only bit of rust that was on this thing was right here, so we're just gonna paint that over. I don't think it should be too bad. This feels a little weak, but a little bit of paint will just take care of that. I mean, everything else looks pretty aged out, so it's gonna be about getting all this cleaned up, making it look decent. But a lot of the framing and everything looked really well, so we got a lot of room to work with here. So that's all I have for this video, just kind of explaining what we're working on, what we're working with, and just kind of how things are gonna go. So I hope you enjoyed episode 1 of the S10 drift truck build, and we will see you in episode 2. Peace.